Does preparing your DJ sets feel overwhelming? Or do you find yourself abandoning your carefully crafted playlist because you're unsure they're going to connect with the crowd? So you play it safe and play the same old tracks you've always mixed. Well, what if I told you that there's a formula that helps you curate awesome playlists that both engage the audience and help you stay technologically sound while still being creative? And you can create multiple set lists within a couple of hours. My name is John Devine, and I've been a DJ for over 20 years. I'm a managing partner of a 7-figure private event DJ business and have played in both nightclubs and private events around the world. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can curate the best playlists by using creativity and technicality to make your sets wow your audience. But be sure to watch through to the end, as I'll be giving you more than just theory, but practical tips that you could use to create more dynamic sets. You see, most DJs plan their sets following the core 3 elements that everyone uses: tempo, key, and genre. Now, this is a good start, but it isn't the end-all answer to your problem. So we got to open up our brains a little bit and think outside the box. There's this old saying by Miles Davis, and I absolutely love it. And he said, "Don't play what's there, play what's not there." And if you're not sure what that may mean, let me briefly explain. Greatness comes from bold choices. So taking risks that others avoid is what creates legends. So playing the same tracks over and over doesn't help you. It only makes you like everyone else. To make your set unforgettable, you need to surprise your audience. You want to break the rules, but also know the boundaries. And before any seasoned DJs jump in here with, you have to read the crowd, bro, like, learn how to read a crowd. Let me be clear. A great DJ set is like having a powerful conversation. It's not random. It's crafted to keep people hooked, taking you from just another DJ to the most interesting person in the room. And preparation is everything. Like in a real conversation, you say something, watch and listen for a reaction, and then you build it from there. You know, one word or moment can take it all a little bit deeper. And the same goes for your set lists. You need to build a strong foundation and keep the energy flowing, and always be ready to take things to the next level. So let's start with the basics, okay? Most DJs look for the following 3 things to help them build their playlists: tempo, key, and genre. Now, these are the foundations to help you create great playlists, and all of these have incredibly important factors, but 99% of DJs only use these 3 things to create their playlists, and they're missing out 2 of the most important and measurable factors. First is familiarity. Second are the decades it was created. And third is the energy of the track. A lot of people listening to your sets are waiting to be wowed. They may or may not know it, but there are moments that make them do that, I smell poop face, like you see, incorporating familiar tracks into your set can add excitement and engage your audience in unexpected ways. For example, blending a well-known vocal or a drum line from a completely different genre, like mixing Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing with T-Pain or Lil Jon, right? That can completely surprise the crowd without disrupting the flow. Now, this approach takes careful timing and planning. So you need to know your music inside and out and map out the set's energy. Remember, the crowd's energy has limits. So if you push too hard, you risk burning them out. Use recognizable vocals to give the audience a breather without losing that momentum. You could also raise the energy by introducing a fresh drum line for transitions, right? So for instance, you can mix Genuine's Pony with Ciara's Level Up, and that could create a dynamic shift. Just make sure while you're doing this that the tracks are compatible in keys, so you have the flexibility to experiment with things like stems or EQs to keep your mix smooth. And I also need to make this clear. None of this is going to work if you have no basic fundamentals mastered, and as tempting as it is to spice up your mixes, you need to perfect the basics before moving on to this stage. So if you're a new DJ and you're new to DJing and you haven't really mastered the fundamentals, I actually have an online school community that will show you the basics for absolutely free. Plus, we also have threads and topics where you can upload 10 to 15 minute mixes to be critiqued by other DJs with constructive criticism. If you're interested in joining and learning more without having to pay anything, simply click the link in the description. And you're also probably saying, well, this sounds great, but how do I actually structure my playlist? I want you to start with your end goal in mind. Think of it like you're planning a trip, okay? You need to know your destination before you're hitting the road. And each set should have a clear purpose, especially for time-limited slots. So ask yourself, what's the objective? How much time do I have to perform this? Are there specific guidelines or boundaries I have to take into consideration? The quicker you answer these questions, the easier it becomes to craft a playlist that delivers results. For example, if you have a 30-minute opening set and your job is to get the crowd moving before a series of big events, your playlist should take listeners from 0 to at least toe tapping, right? And in this scenario, upbeat two-step tracks and recognizable vocals might set the perfect mood for that. So start by choosing a genre that aligns with your goal. Next, consider your audience. What era or artists are most familiar to them? And use those touch points to spark engagement. Then gradually build energy throughout your set. Introduce new grooves, layer in additional elements, and increase the tempo as you go. This is always going to help build up your crowd. And here's a good rule of thumb that you can always follow to make your sets a little more unique. Do at least 5 regular track blends for every 1 curveball and 1 banger. By keeping to this formula, you can create a dynamic mix that can consistently keep your crowd engaged without it feeling forced. And when you really want to grab their attention, toss in a curveball, that unexpected track that surprises and delights. So follow it up with a high energy hit that everyone loves. That's how you turn a playlist into a peak experience. So to practice this, I would create situations that may play out in the real world, almost like practicing plays for a sport. Create a scenario where the plays would work within that scenario and rehearse them behind closed doors. Make them fairly small sets, maybe 10 to 15 minutes a piece, and record them. Work on track fundamentals first, and then play them back to friends who volunteer and listen with you. Sit in the car, hang out at a friend's house, or just play it in front of each other. Watch them and their reactions as they listen. Especially pay attention to when that left field track comes in. What was their reaction? And if your friend doesn't have any major reactions, get back to the drawing board. Ask them what they thought, what would have made the mix cooler, what tracks did they want to hear in the mix. Do your research and then try again, because repetition is always going to make you better. But repetition with immediate constructive feedback is how you're going to get results fast. So, what are you waiting for? Get after it.